Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have one of our favorite guests on, Mr. Eric Harp. He is our certified professional fitness trainer and he is an educator, and he is struggling a little bit today with loss of his voice because he's been working with kindergartners. So let's give him some love. Thank you, Mr. Harp, for being on the Kim B. Davis Show.
Mrs. Davis, I certainly appreciate each and every time you have me. Thank you for the love and support.
No problem. No problem. All right. So let's get right to it. You know, we got to talk current affairs and current topics. So we got two big ones. One, we have an election that's coming up, the November elections, and the big topic is abortion. And then in Georgia, we have Herschel Walker, who just keeps giving us, I don't even know how to describe it. So start us off, Mr. Hart.
Sound bites. He's giving us very entertaining sound bites and video.
Exactly.
Let me tell you. I'm a big football fan.
I'm
a Herschel Walker fan.
I
love watching Herschel Walker do his thing, win the Heisman Trophy. He went to the USFL. Okay, USFL was new, but he did his thing with the Generals. And then here come Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump put his name on everything, and then the league folds within a couple years.
That's right.
Okay. Herschel Walker played for Trump and the New Jersey Generals. They got their little relationship. But Herschel falls, he goes into the NFL, does a little thing with the Minnesota Vikings. Great. I'm a fan. And he disappears, retires, does what football players do, fall to the back, do your thing. Still got his relationship with Donald Trump. We all know what happens with Donald Trump, but now that endorsement has pushed Herschel Walker into some semi-god. Some demigod. I don't understand. He's become like a new phenom once again. But be that as it may. Okay, so he's entering into the political race. But now the situation is a little different because he's a Republican. Republicans just went through this banning of abortion by the Supreme Court and are set to total ban abortions in many states. And that means that there are no exceptions. Not for the health of the mother, not for the health of the child, no exceptions. Okay,
right.
Let's just
not even for rape and incest, and we have to continue to say that.
I said exactly rape, incest, whatever. No exceptions, and that's where Herschel Walker and many of his Republican counterparts stand. Then we come to find out that Mr. Herschel Walker, running back Hall of Fame,
yes,
paid
yes,
to have abortion. Now, let me backtrack a moment. We just found out over the last month and a half how many kids Herschel Walker had, because he wasn't claiming those children.
That's right.
So Mr. Herschel Walker, football fanatic, now became deadbeat dad, but on the Republican ticket. So hey, he can't be that deadbeat. Okay. Come to find out he's paid for an abortion. Not just paid for an abortion, but the lady's got the check, the get well card in his handwriting. She's got the original receipt. She got all the paperwork. And still, Herschel Walker's like, who? Me?
Right.
I don't know this woman. I couldn't have done that. I send money to several people. I send cards to several people. So I don't know who you're talking about. Then he's got a son named Christian, who's all over the internet just on his name. And he's just out there putting Herschel Walker's like, listen, this guy is not who you think he is. Yet polls, public commentators, news reporters, all are projecting this even heat with Raphael Warnock, who was the current senator,
yes,
and Herschel Walker. And it's amazing. Now, as amazing as it is with the stupidity, the perception, the pitting of two African-American men to downplay and to kill and to attack each other with race as part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what Herschel Walker's true status of in his Christian walk, his Christianity. But for him and his claim to Christianity, Mr. Raphael Warnock is a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
a current pastor,
Mm-hmm.
currently pastoring a church.
Yes.
So that doesn't necessarily well, I was just saying that the pitting of two African American upstanding gentlemen to
Mm-hmm.
try to tear each other down, I mean, it's just not a good thing.
It's not.
The optics of it is not a good thing
Mm-hmm.
from one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The optics of it from another perspective is a great thing that they tear each other apart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So who's going to be the last one standing? And, you know, it's intelligence. I think Raphael Warnock wins on that one.
I do too.
The vernacular,
Mm-hmm.
Raphael is going to win. As far as shown moral standing, Raphael Warnock is going to win. Exactly. But the rest of the country doesn't have the moral standing in order to side with that. That's unfortunate. I mean, especially when we talk Republican Party. You know, I hate the fact, and you know, I'm sorry to use the word hate. I don't like the fact that we're stuck with such limited choices. And this is what in 4 weeks, we're having elections. Seems to be our only choice on the docket is inflation. And
Pocketbook issues.
And, you know, and those are important. But what about the future? I don't see people looking into the future. You know, I don't see people looking into the future past hurry up and get to 2024. So either have one side say Trump and his people gonna run, and on the other side, well, what are the Democrats gonna do? And this limbo is just ridiculous. And you know, politically, that's just where we are. 4 weeks to go. Let's see what happens. Exactly.
I agree with you. I do think it is jarring to see two African American males, both who have done well in their lives, both who have two very different perspectives on what America should be, the values that it should have, and matching their lives to those values. Reverend Raphael Warnock, excuse me.
Reverend, thank you.
Yes.
Reverend Senator, excuse me.
Yes, thank you. I know, I forget. I'm like, Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock. When we have a lot of titles, it's kind of hard to remember. But he's a community organizer. He's somebody that has worked in the community. He's tried to build it up. He's tried to stand up for civil rights and justice. We can't say the same thing for Mr. Herschel Walker. I'm not taking away any of his greatness from his sports or any of that. But when you're espousing a position on abortion, and then we come to find out that you have purchased an abortion for someone, and in addition to that, you have a son who you don't have anything to do with, but you're out here preaching family values, I'm like, oh. This sounds like that former president who's been married 3 times, who has all these children, yet there is one child that always, you know, seems to get left out, and that's Miss Tiffany Trump. And so I'm just like, what? You know, that was the second wife's child.
Yeah. You know that little mouth that's in the side of your neck?
Yes.
You know that you're talking out the side of your neck?
Exactly.
That's exactly what this is. You know, it's unfortunate it has to come down to this. You know, again, when you have the digital age, the internet age that we're in, it's very hard to escape any of your transgressions. It's very hard to escape the public judgments of any of your transgressions. Now, we all know that those without sin cast the first stone.
Right.
But now we're talking in this political realm where, hey, everybody's trying to be blameless.
Exactly.
Everybody's trying to be sinless.
And there's no such thing.
No such thing. And, it's a smile. It's a sarcastic smile because all I do is vote. All I do is vote. And, I share with you some of my thoughts, and thank you for the platform.
No problem.
But
Thank you.
All we do is vote and then see what happens and then talk about what's happening.
And hold our elected officials responsible. Or accountable is the better word. So when we hold our elected officials accountable, that means we attend meetings, whether they be Zoom, in person. We communicate with our legislators. When they make a law and we don't like it, or we're unhappy about pocketbook issues such as inflation, gas prices, energy costs, all of those things, we communicate our frustration, and then we look for solutions together to see how we can do this. Not saying that we're going to work with the legislator per se to say, okay, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to go up there. But sometimes it is that simple.
Yeah, sometimes a loud voice will work.
That's right.
That loud voice will work. And we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. And again, just being able to get together, get involved. Get involved and maybe we can make a difference.
Hopefully.
Now, here I wanted to bring up another point. Again, the defund the police has been a slogan for several years now. Now, negative slogan, it's been a negative slogan for people campaigning against it, saying all they want to do is defund the police. But we just found out the Uvalde City Council just suspended their entire police. Now, they suspended their entire police force. As we all know, that entire police force did nothing. An active shooter. They punished their police force, but now are left without.
That's right.
So they just defunded their police. Here we are in a state with Greg Abbott, Republican government, with a city in his state that has defunded the police. Taking serious action to defund the police. And so now what?
Right.
And these are the steps that now we have to see. Okay, now that we've done this, these are the consequences. These are the consequences. And it's sad to say that a spot like Uvalde is a small town. But we would hope that lightning just doesn't strike twice.
Exactly. Because we see that same scenario. Is it Portland or is it Seattle? That they scaled their police force back and crime just burst exponentially. It exploded. Okay, that's Portland. Portland's having some serious trouble. And I understand when people say they want to defund the police, and we've got a topic we're going to talk about in regards to that. But I think that people have to remember crime still happens. We need some mechanism to protect ourselves, number one. Number two, to address crime. This isn't like a movie, and I'm going to date myself, Demolition Man, because I like to quote that movie sometimes. And I'm like, this isn't Demolition Man where we're like, oh, everybody is just happy and you pay credits for saying a bad word, and we don't do graffiti and we don't do any of those bad things because we got rid of all those deplorable people. Life doesn't work like that. And so we got to be realistic in how we address and manage some of the issues that occur in our society.
Exactly. I mean, what happens is you get you have laws. These laws are written by people. These laws are then interpreted by the judges. And based on situations. Listen, small cities and big cities, more so in big cities because you have backlogs. Now, we just recently, we have President Biden just did a sweeping commute
Yes.
of all nonviolent marijuana offenses.
Yes.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is commuted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means that there are criminals released back to the street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are records that are expunged. There are people who no longer have criminal records who can go and hopefully restore their lives.
Yes.
My point to this is that you have people who follow laws all of their lives and never really have worries.
Mm-hmm.
You have people who break laws
Mm-hmm.
all the time,
Mm-hmm.
may or may not get caught for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those who do get caught may do a little time, depending on what the situation is, may get out.
Mm-hmm.
All of this, when you mix it into the jumbo, now is a political point. Oh, they're releasing people. They're soft on crime.
Mm-hmm.
Crime happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If we, in my opinion, if we'd have took a step back a year and a half ago and did something with guns, we perhaps wouldn't be where we are.
Mm-hmm.
I just read a report that in New York, they have new gun laws, and there are sheriffs throughout the state that are refusing to enforce it.
I'm sure.
They're like, I'm not going after just a little regular person with a bulge in his pants. I'm going after the people who are shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, how about you get them with the bulge in their pants before they shoot?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just Eric's thinking.
Right, right. Because we've been consistently told that a good guy with a gun is better than the bad guy with the gun.
That's what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Rittenhouse, was that a good guy with a gun?
I say not, but you know,
that's what we're told.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're told.
But now he can't live. He can't live his life.
He was a good guy with a gun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But now he's been told. He's been going around crying. I can't live my life. They're making my life difficult. I was like, you killed someone. Go sit down. Go sit down. You are lucky you are not in jail.
But we're soft on crime.
Yes. Yes.
So the hypocrisy is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You and I live in the city of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Detroit has a reputation.
Sure does.
Detroit has a worldwide reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, true enough, there are places you shouldn't go.
Mm-hmm. Just like in any city. Mm-hmm.
And there are places like you can go anywhere. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to maneuver, avoid, and adapt to large crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just have no idea how to handle themselves in large crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are things that we can do to prevent things, but then there are things that are totally beyond our control.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't stop living. We can't stop living, and we can't become hermits and locked up in our homes. That's, again, we can talk this all day about what we can't do, because fear cripples.
Fear does cripple.
Fear cripples.
Mm-hmm.
It not just cripples the individual, it'll cripple everything around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then other people are affected. And then fear makes you vulnerable.
Yes, it is.
And
so let's switch gears. I want to get into So tonight we're talking current events as always, but we're also talking about pain, pills, and fitness. So in Detroit, where we both live, there was a major incident. A young man who was 20 years old was struggling with a mental issue. It's been said that he's schizophrenic. He might have been off his medication. I believe that he was, according to what different people have said. I don't know all the details because they haven't released that. He apparently had an episode at his family home. His family called EMS. Let me correct myself. I believe they came, they were like, nope, he has a weapon. You got to call the police. They called police for help. And again, in America, when we're in trouble, and Mr. Harp, you know this growing up, what were you always taught? If you're in trouble, go find a police officer, and a police officer will help you. Right. So this family, 2 days in a row, called for help. On the second day, he had a 3-inch blade in his hand. He was violent. He could not be controlled. He would not calm down. 5 police officers are on the scene, and they shoot him 38 times. 38 times. Just let that sit there for a minute. 38 times. Not once.
5 officers.
5 officers. So just that's like almost, that's over 7 shots.
That's I mean, come on, that's what, 8 bullets a pop?
Yeah, that basically. I'm like, wow. And I don't know how many bullets there are in a clip, but I'm assuming they emptied it out pretty well. Now, the police chief has come under fire. The mayor has come under fire because, of course, the family is suing, as they probably should.
As they should. Okay. I have a question. I don't mean to interrupt, but my first question that comes to mind is, where'd the taser go?
Well, from what I understand, tasers don't work well unless you're up close. So if you are a person who has a knife in your hand and you are threatening someone with this knife in your hand, am I going to risk being stabbed, having one of my major arteries ruptured? Because
I can get that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I can understand the scenario, but listen, you got 5 officers. I'm thinking like, what? You can have 1 catch the attention, another 2 or 3 go ahead and sneak behind this guy, and tasers, gun, whichever direction he turn, get close enough, taser.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 38 shots, 38 shots. And I'm sure we went to torsos, we went to heads, we went to arms. What, we didn't shoot legs? We didn't immobilize in the thigh?
So from what I understand, we no longer in Detroit. I don't know about across the country, but in Detroit, there is no more, you're not shooting to wound, you are shooting to put someone down. So from what I understand, you're shooting to kill. Number 2, everywhere else in the world, they use rubber bullets, other measures, other means. I'm trying to figure out, because I want to go back to your point of defund the police. Again, remember, we've got to address and manage how we deal with crime. Why are we not looking at that the same way when we talk about mental health? Why are we not looking at that the same way in mental health?
Defunding the police has defunded mental health. Mm-hmm. But let me stop. I take that back because I'm incorrect. The mental health and the medical there was defunded way before the police. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Medical services, inner city medical services, mental health services has been something that the whole country has needed more of. Mm-hmm. And so that train is already passed. Mm-hmm. The defund the police, that's a struggle. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, police brutality is something that has never gone away. Mm-hmm. It didn't take 5 people shooting 8 shots a pop. It didn't take 5 people to shoot 8 shots each. I mean, that's like, that's just shooting and not stopping. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shooting and not stopping. Mm-hmm. I mean, how about boom? What'd that do? Boom, what'd that do? Right. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, everybody's like, oh, he's down. Now everybody's got to figure out, oh, okay, what happened here? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, 3-inch blade is it's a weapon. Mm-hmm. It's a weapon. It's not the same as a gun that's gonna shoot you, but it is a weapon. Mm-hmm. It's got to be close to get hurt by it. Now you say we don't shoot the wound anymore, we shoot to kill. Well, that's one of the reasons why they're asking for the defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, that's where's other training going?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know, Mrs. Davis, this is a horrible situation because mental health is such a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because there is no outlet for a lot of our mental patients, our mental health sufferers, there's no outlets. People are just throwing things at them. Here,
Mm-hmm.
take these kids, take a tablet and shut up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Play with my phone and shut up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the attention that we give.
Absolutely.
So when you know, and you pointed out, I work with children all day. And kids are just as emotional. They come in, not fully awake, had a bad day that night. I didn't eat. Mom and dad were fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, grandma got sick.
Mm-hmm.
What the issue might be, these kids feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're as emotional. You can't just pass by that and say, here, tablet and be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to let them air it out. You have to let people talk and express.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't want people to express violently.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to express like they have no hope and lash out.
Mm-hmm.
But we want people to express, listen, talk, say what you're feeling, because hopefully I can help.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can help, let's see if I can get you some help.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we used to have that. We used to watch that on TV all the time. When life reflected what we watch on TV, you always had police that were helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Paramedics connected to the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
You can get your dog rescued from the police.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that?
Right.
Please excuse me, but where's that?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that? You right now, the people from the last hurricane in Florida were told, we're not coming to get you. We're not coming.
Mm-hmm.
So get out.
Mm-hmm.
Where have we gone? Where's the humanity gone?
So here's another issue on the plate, and I found this to be fascinating. So, Mr. Harp, you mentioned it. We throw a pill at everything. So anytime people have pain, here, just take this. You'll feel better. Instead of trying to train through it, work through it, doing simple exercises, stretches, what have you. And we're going to talk more about that. But we have an opioid crisis in this country, and we talk about it. And in America, we like to take drugs. So there was recently a $26 billion, I said billion, $26 billion nationwide settlement with the makers for, or the pharmaceuticals that were responsible for the opioid crisis. Michigan has been allotted $776 million to address the opioid crisis. Now, the DEA was just here, the Drug Enforcement Agency. They just did a major bust. They said that they had 4 million doses of fentanyl. 4 million. Well, whoever they busted had 4 million doses. I thought, wow, who are these people? Not that I want to know, but I'm just like, how do you have all that around you and you just whatever? But they were talking about fentanyl, how it's being marketed to kids as candy. So it's colored. And so it looks like Skittles or some of these rainbow type of candies that kids would like to eat, and how it has 1 or 2 ingredients that are fatal upon consumption. And so I just thought, wow, here we are in society where we keep telling people don't take drugs, because you and I growing up, we had the commercials, with the
Say no
Fridays.
to drugs.
Say
Yeah.
no to drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
Buff the crime dog.
Right.
Buff the crime dog. Yeah.
Yes.
Say no to drugs. Yes.
Right. We had that. But now we're legalizing marijuana. And I'm not just picking on marijuana, but it's funny because I still have conversations with people and they're like, Kim, we're struggling to find people, but we can't hire anybody that's smoking marijuana. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you because it's legal. They're like, yeah, it's legally in the state, but not according to federal. And I'm like, ooh, how does an employer address that? But my question is, Mr. Harp, based on this $26 billion settlement nationwide, and I want to give you this number, in 2019, an estimated 10 million people aged 12 and older misused opioids. And that's everything from Vicodin to Oxycontin, any of those drugs that are prescribed by a doctor for any type of sports injury, headaches, all that good kind of stuff. Talk to us, Mr. Hart, more about us throwing the pill at each other.
All right. Well, this is not overnight. This has been happening for through generations. When mom would come and take some sleeping pills, Valium, whatever, mixing it with a little alcohol. Here we go. Now, a lot of the drug culture is celebrated through the music. Okay. It's celebrated through the music. So that's how a lot of young people are, really into it. You're hearing about Molly's, you're hearing about this, but again, it's not overnight. Right. Elton John thinking about Benny and the Jets.
Yes, he did.
So, taking pills to get intoxicated has been around for a while. But let me narrow it down. Opioids. Opioids was a 90s, 2000s, because cocaine, crack, misused, heroin, misused since the 60s and 70s. Then the new thing was crack. And then, so we're talking opioids. Now, that's a broad category because opioids are used in medicine. Okay. They're used in our medicines in most of our hospitals. So same thing with fentanyl. Fentanyl is used in most of our hospitals in medicine. And now people are overdosing on it. The uncut, you sniff it, you touch it. This stuff is killing folks. Now, we've, for generations, have always told, especially at this time of year, watch out at trick or treat, watch out at Halloween. What kind of things are people putting in candies? Razor blades to, acid on your candy, residue on the wrappers. Can't eat it, and watch out for this, watch out for that. And those concerns can be valid, very valid. But the fear mongering, is valid as well. There are people just trying to scare you. Now, right now, for political purposes, it is very convenient to tell you that the immigrants, the migrants, the drug cartels are bringing all of this fentanyl.
Yes.
It's the Chinese who are sending it through the South American cartels. This is the fear mongering. Fentanyl is here, and you got to be careful. But once again, it is also used in our medicines. And we don't know exactly how people are getting all of this on the street. See, the DEA, the drug enforcement, we have to leave it up to them to find out, confiscate, seize, and what have you. But once again, we have to be careful. Parents have to know the lingo, of these songs. and have to know what's going on, because a lot of these kids are talking in codes.
Yes, they are.
Taking pills that look like vitamin C pills.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, look like Skittles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You think it's candy and it's not.
It's candy.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to be careful. I think, I don't have a magic answer. I don't think anybody does have a magic answer, but we have to be extremely vigilant. Parents got to know what you're talking about, these pills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Flip side. Let's talk about some good things.
No. You're absolutely correct, because it is a lot. Sip and syrup. When I back in the early 2000s, when I first heard, I was like, "What is sip and syrup?" And then somebody explained it to me. I said, "Oh, that's drinking cough syrup." Yes, a prescription. It is it's cough syrup with codeine in it. Yes. Yes.
Promethazine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there are people that drink it to get high. Now, I have taken that because I've had a really bad cough, because I've had bronchitis. I can't imagine somebody taking that to get high, because I'm just like, this doesn't feel right. But that's a different thing. But what I want to talk about next, Mr. Harp, you talk about the biggest muscle in the human body, and that's the brain. And we have talked about this before, but I want you to expand a little bit on the brain-body connection and the importance of fitness and how it helps the body with endorphins. And when you're going through pain, how it helps you to feel better, whether it's lower back, whether it's leg pain, whatever it is. Sometimes you can work through it, of course, with the permission of a physician.
Okay, well, there's pain and there's injuries.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We can have discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have discomfort. We wake up, we need to stretch, we need to, okay, get the body moving.
Mm-hmm.
Get those, as the Tin Man said, put some oil on those joints. And then you start to feel a lot better. You start to move around a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some of us who like to do it early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Get that blood, get that heart pumping early in the morning, and it takes the day.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the day just seems to have a different feel to it. And that's when those endorphins kick in. Mm-hmm. Some of us need coffee for that.
That's me.
Some of us need that caffeine, that coffee, that feeling that you get, that little pep, that little uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, coffee can do it. It's temporary. It's
Mm-hmm.
temporary.
Mm-hmm.
But a good fitness workout will do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a good routine of that will put you in a nice little all day little, ooh, I got this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, some of us may work out in the later part of the day. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That routine, that body, sometimes your body wakes up, goes at lunchtime, about 2:00, you're like, oh, I can't wait to work out after work.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is where, your body starts making a connection.
Mm-hmm.
That brain is starting to make a connection with those muscles,
mm-hmm.
those joints. Sometimes those pains start going away. I'm not as sore as I used to be. I walk, my back's not as sore.
Exactly.
And these things happen as long as we can put a little consistency to our physical plan. Some of us work out harder than others. If you could just get up and walk. Mm-hmm. If you could walk down, if you live on the middle of the street, walk down to the end of the block. Walk down to the end of the block and back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then walk maybe to the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Around the corner. Go around the block. And when you get done, you'll start saying, I feel so much better.
Yes, you will.
So that's what the endorphins do. Now, if I can add in, many of us are on routines.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us take pain pills.
Mm-hmm.
I got to take a couple of these and a couple of these. I'll take a leave. I'll do this. I'll do that. Okay. There are some muscle relaxers.
Mm-hmm.
There are some stimulants, things that can help you. But we also have to keep in mind that we have kidneys. We can't let that go through the kidneys like that.
That's right.
So we have to be careful in the consumption, especially when we're not knowing how some of these things break down. Mm-hmm. And so wise to see a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Prescription pills, we should find out how that affects our working out, our physical status, how much water we need to drink, how often we need to take our pills. All of these things matter. But then there's another thing called supplements. Your
Mm-hmm.
vitamins, vitamin B12, your things, turmeric. Some of these things, please feel free. Take those because your body is deficient.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us get those in our regular meals, in our diets, because we just don't have the type of lifestyle. Fast foods and eating out doesn't allow us, many of us, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
to receive the benefits and the nutrients that in a healthier plan would provide.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us take supplements, but we'd have to be careful that we're not taking 20 pills a day. We have to be careful. If you're on medication and you're taking those medications, the doctor says take a few supplements, please follow your doctor's advice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us can't just throw pills down our throats,
Right. Right.
and get a habit of just swallowing pills.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that some people get really used to, they're like, oh, well, I'll just take supplements to combat the bad eating, and they still keep the same diet. And then they try to work out and they never see results. And they're like, see, it doesn't work, but you have to do it on all sides. You have to exercise, you have to eat right, you have to take the right combination of vitamins or vitamin, whatever it is that you need.
Your muscles break down food. They don't break down, they don't break down the capsule. Okay. Once your stomach releases all of the what was inside the capsule into your system, that goes into your blood flow. But we're talking that your body needs to eat, your muscles need to eat.
Yes.
Right? So your body needs to distribute, your thiamines, your irons, your calciums. It needs to distribute all. And so while it does that, it provides the necessary what you need to your stomach to keep everything else moving, so that your stomach churns and processes. See, a lot of us are not eating, and we're not giving our stomachs an opportunity to do what it does. Liquid diets are not going to work.
Right.
And we have to be careful on fad diets. There are nutrition standards, things that our bodies need. Again, the brain is one of the hardest muscles to train, because our taste buds may tell us what we're doing today. Our taste buds may say, no, we're eating this, instead of eating that.
Our taste buds may say chocolate cake tastes much better than broccoli.
And it goes down a lot easier. And it's some of them, well, wait a minute. There's milk in it. Like, that old Eddie Murphy, who was that? There's milk in
it, eggs, and wheat.
So it's healthy enough. But
yes,
we have to be careful.
Absolutely, we do. So last question, Mr. Harp.
Yes.
How should a person who is in pain, how should they approach fitness? Should they look at it? Because you mentioned something important. There's a difference between injuries and pain. Will you quickly explain the difference and then talk about how someone should approach pain and fitness?
Well, definitely see a doctor. Some of us, depending on where we are, where we start, foot pain could be a sign of something else. Opiates, or it could be something in our heels and our Achilles. And I would not recommend a strenuous workout if you are on the potential side of an injury. Some of us have pain that we've ignored. Some of us have pain that we're just trying to take pills to cover up. We don't know what we're taking for. We just know that there's a pill that's being sold at the store. So go see a doctor. Go see a doctor so that we can find out what we do, and then we can get a workout plan started. Sometimes it's good to get a diet plan started so we can eat right as we start to work out, because we have to feed ourselves. And you got to feed your body. I don't like to see those who work out and all they do is drink energy shakes. rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's carbonated, but it says energy drink. So they get a whole bunch of caffeine, so they can go a whole bunch real fast for 10 minutes and then crash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your metabolism needs way more than that.
You're right.
So please, for all your listeners, I encourage you, start to work out. Find a physical plan that works best for you. But do it smartly, do it correctly. See your doctor first, and let's get started. And you will be amazed at some of the benefits that you'll receive.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Harp. Now, before we get out of here, tell us where we can find you all on all your social media, how we can contact you.
Eric Harp, Eric Harp 9 at Gmail. Eric Harp, all your other social media platforms as well. Listen, I just want to tell you, this is a pleasure. Every time that we get together, it's a pleasure being with you, talking to your listeners about health and fitness. And I hope that as we enter into 2023, that we take some of these things to heart and let's look for some health going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Harp, for being on and for sharing health and fitness tips with us. We know next month it is November. You'll have another exciting topic for us to discuss and cover, and we look forward to seeing you then.
All right. Thank you, my sister. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. You know, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere on social media. And it's Kimberly Batchelor Davis. Batchelor is spelled Batchelor. You can find this show on youtube.com/Kimberly Batchelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Wisdom. You can learn more about me as an author at kimbdavis.com. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope you'll join us on our next episode. And as always, remember, be magnificent.